Yes, Artie, thank you very much. Of course, I have COSATU's parliamentary coordinator, and that is Matthew Parks. Matthew, we thank you very much for joining us first. And this MTBPS, before it came, we actually had a conversation about what COSATU would like to see. There's been a lot that's been said. There's mixed reaction. Your initial reaction into what your expectations were versus what has been delivered here today?
So, look, I think like everybody else, we have mixed reactions. There's some good parts which we've been calling for, which we're pleased to see are there. There's some parts we're not convinced by. There's some parts we're quite worried by. Everybody's been talking about the public service wage bill, and we hope that government, when we have the wage negotiations or mediation at the CCMA from Friday, that government will come to the negotiating table. They will negotiate with an open mind, in good faith, with the trade unions, because public service wage issues can't be discussed in Parliament. They belong in the Collective Bargaining Council. We think public servants are correct to demand a living wage to protect their wages from being eroded by inflation. So I hope government will go negotiate, not just simply implement what they've said they're going to implement, which is the offer they had made to the PSWC. If you don't do that, you're going to find skilled public servants who end up leaving the public service. Public servants are highly indebted. They're at breaking point, many of them nurses and teachers, doctors and police officers, home affairs officials. So we think government must do right by them. We can't simply praise them during COVID and then afterwards throw them under the bus and pickpocket them. Government has to deal with the hard issues, which is the real cause of the fiscal crisis, which is corruption, it's wasteful expenditure, it's load shedding, it's struggling SOEs, it's a stagnant economy, it's a high level of unemployment. Deal with those issues, then government will have the resources to pay for public services, pay public servants a living wage, invest in the economy, grow it. They can't simply outsource the bill to nurses every time it feels it's under pressure.
Let's talk about e-tolls. That decision on e-tolls, COSATU has been quite vocal over the years, for more than 9 years now, about this surprise countries and the tolls that were coming through. The plan presented by the minister, what do you make of it?
So look, that's quite positive. I mean, something as you said, COSATU has been calling for scrapping the e-tolls. So we're pleased government has now paid the e-toll debt. We hope we can just simply call the funeral service and close this silly chapter, come with a better model to fund infrastructure. But we shouldn't be constantly seeking to be squeezing workers who are struggling to survive of every little last rand and cent they have to pay for public services. People are paying their taxes, income tax, VAT, electricity tariff, etc., the fuel tax. Government needs to manage the public fiscus better to provide the services it needs. So that's quite positive. We're quite pleased the government has responded to our call to ease the debt burden on ESCOM. The details must be finalized by February, but we're pleased that the minister said we're going to look at cutting between a third and two-thirds of ESCOM debt off of its shoulders. We think we should be aiming for at least 200 billion rand to really enable ESCOM to focus on maintenance of new generation capacity, because that's going to ease load shedding, that's going to ease the pressure on the entire economy. It will help grow the economy, to create jobs, to save jobs and so forth. There's positive measures about additional resources to Transnet, but again, law enforcement has to go and support Transnet and Metro Rail. Otherwise, we're going to lose that resources to cable theft and so on, to vandalism. It's good they're giving money to Denel. We hope that money will go to pay those workers who haven't been paid for 18 months. But it's quite worrying that the MTBPS says that municipalities are in crisis. We don't see a concrete plan to arrest the municipal collapse from COGTA, from government, and that has to be dealt with quite quickly.
Let's talk about the social relief of distress grant. That has been extended by another year, something that we spoke about earlier. What do you make of what government, the Minister of Finance, has actually decided about extending it by another year?
No, that's very positive. Something we've been calling for as COSATU, so we're pleased it's been extended for a year. And there's a commitment, let's have a discussion about some sort of basic income grant. We think it is a foundation for APIG, it's affordable. We don't think we can afford to leave 10 million unemployed people with no source of income. So let's fix it, let's retain it, let's see how we can link it to the food poverty line. Let's see if we can help its recipients access skills development, job placement programs. But we think it's a fundamental necessity to have it. We think government did though make a missed opportunity not to increase the presidential employment stimulus. We hope we can convince them by February to double that, to take at least 2 million young people into employment. But these measures are also going to complement the pension relief bill we have now at Parliament, which COSATU has helped to push, which will give workers who are struggling some limited access to the pension funds, because all of these measures are going to help to cushion workers, the poor, the unemployed from the economic recession, from the food inflation, etc.
Matthew Parks, the COSATU parliamentary leader, thank you very much for your time, for giving us that reaction, which is something that is quite an important one to get how the feelings are when it comes to the state, the players that are out there in terms of this year's medium-term budget policy statement.